From Senegal to Sugar Hill, trace the bloodline. 100 years of brilliance through the color line. They thought the shackles broke but kept the mental chain. Langston penned the future while they legislated pain. Harlem's ballrooms birthed the cosmos in mahogany, while lynching trees still decorated southern botany. Josephine, Waker's pearls, and Garvey's Navy ships. Du Bois debating destiny with scholarship on his lips. The Renaissance was a renaissance, it was resistance, fam. Every trumpet blast from Armstrong was a battering ram. They gave us minstrel shows, we gave them Sora Neal. Turned depression into art, made the fabricated real. Cotton Club excluded us from tables every set. To form the Deanest Nightly, never free from the debt. But Bessie Smith could shatter glass, shatter cash, shatter lies. Every note she sang contained a revolution in disguise. Build temples from the rubble, make cathedrals from the scrubble. Turn the margins to the center, now they study what we scribble. We build temples from the rubble, every generation double the inheritance of genius that they tried to keep us from. Fast forward through the decades, watch the pattern reassemble. Malcolm speeches, Martin's marches, every voice begins to tremble to the earth until the structure shows its fractures. FBI was tracking every coon with every pastor, every actor. 40 acres never came but 40 minutes on a stage. To reconvene your consciousness and channelize the rage. From bebop to hip-hop, the fool lines mathematical. Each generation weaponized the beautiful, the radical. They gave us Reagan out as crack and mass incarceration. We gave them Public Enemy and blueprints for liberation. The Harlem Renaissance never ended, just evolved its form. Every freestyle cipher is a brainstorm, is a storm. Where the children of the talented, the tenth that the was prophesied, inherit the fire that the water couldn't wash aside. They tried to write us out the narrative. We offered all on text, 100 years of proof, and that we're destined. Where was next? Temples from the rubble, made cathedrals from the struggle. Turned the largest to the center, now they study what we scribble. We built temples from the rubble, every generation double the inheritance of genius that they tried to keep us from.
All right, this is, and as you know, you are under the groove. Welcome everybody. And I'm not behind schedule, just cutting it close, How's everybody? Happy Tuesday to everyone. Grand Rising to those of you who understand what that means. I'm wondering where C1. Send our best out to you. May everything be everything with you over there in Australia, C1. All right. That being said, yeah, here I am, and there you are. Let's get it in, man. Kind of hot today, but I'm in it. I'm down. You know what I'm saying? I'm with the business, man. So they say. Yeah, man, a lot going on today, man. So yesterday, what's the day? The 2nd of June. Yesterday, Monday, they found this Asian guy not guilty of shooting a little brother in his back in South Carolina, and it's like, damn, man. They could just do this shit and be no repercussions, no consequences. Found the booty head, not guilty, a gunning a little brother down in the back, man. 6 shots, 6 shots in the back, 130 yards away from the convenience store where they thought he was stealing a bottle of water. So I did some research. That's okay. In my mind, hey, man, they turned up over there in South Carolina. They finna burn the store down, everything, right? I go and they out there, this we shall overcome and, all this old shit. And I'm like, man, for real? For real. I can only imagine how many, raccoons is in the midst of the brothers and sisters saying, no, just relax, cut that. We're going to handle it. No, you're not. That's upsetting, man. For me, I'm just, speak truth to power, man. That's one of them situations where there should be justice. There should be justice, and it should be meted out in such a way that those who think they run everything will understand, man, that, what, we can't allow this shit to happen to these people, continue to happen to these people. Anytime somebody's in the wrong for gunning down anybody black, but especially our youth, they should be, hey, man, we got to prosecute to the fullest extent of the law. Nowhere in the world this guy should be able to get away with gunning down a young black kid, young black boy in the back. There's no way. We don't set enough precedents. Again, man, we're not about black first. That's the problem. We're not about black first, man. We're about everybody else first, We're about everybody and everything else first. Like they say, free Palestine. Yeah, I get that, man. What's happening over there is atrocious. You know, it's genocide. Yeah. But what about free Haiti? You know, what about that? You got the Congo, you got South Africa, you got all this shit going on. You know what I mean? We're not about black first, man. And that's a problem. That's going to continue to be a problem until such a time, man, we decide enough is enough. And my question has always been on this channel, when is enough enough? When do we say, all right, man, enough of this shit? You know, we got to start putting down some demos or something, you know. Come on, man. Because next it could be our children. You know, the precedent becomes, okay, you know, other people feel like, man, I can kill one of them and I ain't gonna do a day in jail. But you go kill one of them and see what happened. You kill one of us, see what happened. So it only apply to us? Yeah, this shit don't make no sense, man. It don't make no sense, man. You know, it don't make no sense, man. That shit should not be happening in 2026. You know, and then you do the research on the dude, on the Asian dude. He didn't shot at brothers before. He had 3 other shooting incidents with black people. Oh, trigger happy Buddha head, man. And ain't no what? Come on, man. At some point, we got to start saying enough is enough. Enough of the bullshit that we have going on amongst ourselves, and enough of the bullshit we know that goes on with other people regarding us. Enough is enough, you know. And like I say, that's some sad shit, man. The parents of this 14-year-old, 13 at the time, you know, have to live with that and deal with that. You know, South Carolina finds an Asian guy not guilty of shooting a young black boy in the back 5 times. I can't even fathom that, man. I'm telling you, I can't. Yeah. Yeah, at some point, man, we're going to have to be like, for real, black first, man. Nothing else matters. You know, I'm waiting to see if South Carolina got any damn sense. The brothers and sisters over there, man, anything Asian, get shut the fuck to the down. Don't spend $1 with them. And in a month, they'll be out of there. This the shit we supposed to be doing that we don't do. Anytime somebody violate one of us, man, we supposed to immediately, automatically shut them down. Sad shit, man. Sad shit that happened to that brother, man. A bottle of water that he didn't even steal. That's sad, bro. Yeah, man. So here we are, man. Listen, Tuesday. This bullshit. Yeah, I got a little something set up, y'all. I want to. Oh, here you go. Yeah, I want y'all to see this because I want to see who gets this. And it's beyond what's being said. You know, I think it's about interpretation. You know what I mean? It's about our perspective, how we understand shit that's put before us, you know? But I'm gonna get to that in a hot second. Let's tap in with these comments, man. The RGC is in the house, man. It's good to see everybody here. Like I said, man, it's Under the Groove podcast, man. Welcome to this Get Down. We are touching bases with the people. First thing I said coming on here, man, is an Asian guy got away with killing a young black brother in South Carolina. So now they got the Asians down south killing blacks as well. And I, for the life of me, I don't understand why they not, hey, man, for real, just shutting it all down. You know, if they didn't yesterday, why not today or tomorrow? Shut it down. You know, there's different ways of going about doing that. You know, one of the ways you really hurt them people or any people, man, is through their pockets. Shut that shit down, man. There's no way in the world, man, that they should have a store or anything else anywhere in South Carolina or North Carolina. Wherever they go, they should be followed and should be known that, hey, man, they kill black people. Crazy. All right, Queen and Zingers, good to see you up in here. She say black first, black fists up high to the kings and queens and the royal group congregations. Good to see you up in here, sis. Love you, love you, love you. Thank you for being present amongst the RGC cast and crew. You know, B60M said, man, greetings and salutations to you, bub, and the RGC B1. Right back to you, though, B60, man. Salute, bro. Love and respect, man. Good to see you up in here, man. Black first, y'all. That's some serious shit to me, if you ask me. If you ask me, I'll tell you. Poke Mitchell, man. Poke Mitchell Podcast TV. What's up, bro? Good to see you up in this thizzle, man. You say top of it, bub, man. Salute to the UTG and the RGC kings and queens. B1. Black first, everybody. Oh, man, you ain't missing nothing yet, man. We about to get started, bro. You know, we're about to get started, man. You know what I'm saying? Like I say, first thing I brought, because it was heavy on my mind, little brother that got murdered in South Carolina back in 2023. A Buddha head shoots him in the back 5 times. A football field and a third away from the store, 130 yards from the store, shot him, gunned him down, man. And yesterday got found not guilty. Not guilty. Shit is crazy. This shit is crazy, man. And we acting like damn fools amongst each other and to each other. And we got everybody else killing us as well. This is some damn crazy shit. Anyway, good to see you up in here, Poke, man. You ain't missing nothing yet. Like I say, what it do, James? James Cash, man, 19.7 and the 2 is in the house. He say, Bub, 1, right back to you, bro. What's going on, man? Shit. Man, they say life, man, but I can't tell, man. I can't tell. I don't know what's going on, man. I know one thing, though. Well, for sure, the world is fucked. We living in some messed up times, man. That's what I do know. You know, and on top of that, I also know and realize that we ain't about ready to do a damn thing about none of this, man. That's sad. I think that's some weird work right there, man. That's weird work. You know. All right, Chris, what to do, loved one? Peace and prosperity to you and the fam. I see you. B1, man. Black first is in the house, man. That's what it should be about. Folks say, man, I always trip off the fact that Asians own soul food restaurants, and I don't know one black person that own an Asian restaurant. Here. I've never heard of it. Who would have thunk it? You know what I mean? Yeah, we enjoy the food or whatnot, but we ain't sitting up trying to, cosplay on they shit, and go have an Asian restaurant, where we, preparing shrimp fried rice and egg rolls and shit. We don't do that shit. You know what I mean? But they're throughout our community, all over our community. Like I said the other night about them, man, we send their children to college, man. We make them rich and they treat us like shit. When is enough gonna be enough, man? When will we get it in our damn heads that, man, we ain't got no business messing with none of these people, man? Spending our dollars with them or anything else, man. They go for any and all of them, man, that has done something derogatory, murderous, disrespectful to the people. We ain't got no business messing with them, man. Don't give them a dime, man. Hey, man, shit, make your own wigs, lace fronts and shit, shit. Buy the hair from a sister or a brother who have a shop. Stop giving these people our shit, man. They don't respect us in no sense of the word, man. They don't respect us, man. Don't give a damn about us. Not one flying flick, man. That's some cold shit, if you ask me. Yeah, man. So that's what it is, man. I see you up in here, though, Poke, man. Appreciate your presence, bro. Chris said, man, Asians make a lot of money off of black people. A whole lot of money. Not a lot of money. A whole lot of money. And we're not even concerned. We don't give a damn, man. Our people so caught up in having that wig look right, so they think, I'm not even gonna get started on that, but they'll go spend them dollars with an Asian before they go spend them dollars with a black woman, a black man or woman entrepreneur who sell the same product. And some of them say, oh, well, Jing Jong is my friend. Oh, I'm cool with them. Well, why you don't go buy over there? I mean, fuck them. Some crazy shit, man. They get their nails done. Them Asians sit up there and talk that shit right in their face. You know, we're not speaking Mandarin or nothing like that. We don't understand Vietnamese, North Korean, you know, or South Korean. We don't. So they talking buku shit, man. You know, talking buku shit. And our people sit up in there like it ain't shit. You gotta know they doing that shit. And then if you know it, and I'm pretty sure most of you do, gotta feel like a piece of shit to continue to sit there and let these people have conversations that you know in your face are disrespectful. It's just how they get on. You know, that's not an assumption. I'm not assuming that. That's what the hell they do, man. They no different from any other ones. You speaking of English language, the Asian language, Spanish, you know, Yiddish, whatever. They all do the same shit, man. And yet, we patronize their businesses. We give them our money in spite of the fact that we knowing they're being very disrespectful. That's crazy. You that motherfucker nothing, man. Chris going to say, man, they find out what black people like, mass produce it, and sell it to us and get rich. You know, get rich. That's what they do. James said, yeah, it is, man. You're going to say, man, I'm here having this KFC. I haven't had Asian food in a long time, and I don't plan to. I don't support racists. You know, this shit is crazy, man. It's crazy. But hey, you know, it's far beyond me to check somebody else about how they get down. You know what I mean? I just know that they don't get a dime out of me. You know, they again, man, we're making them rich. We're making them rich. In fact, speaking of that, I got something regarding that. Oh, ain't that the truth? Okay, at least, oh yeah, I got it right here. But I want to drop this one first because I'm telling you, this some cold shit. I want to see where everybody's head is at. All right, I'm gonna drop this right quick, man. And y'all tell me your perspective of this, how you interpret what you're about to see. All right, let's try this. This is an experiment. All right, check it out.
The second those branches hit the fire, everything changed. It starts as a normal burn until someone makes one decision that nobody around them is ready for. Fresh pine branches, still full of sap and moisture, thrown directly into the middle of an open fire. And what happens next is pure science that looks nothing like science. Pine sap is one of the most flammable natural substances on Earth, and the moment it hits that heat, it doesn't just burn, it detonates. The flames double, then triple in seconds, launching a wall of fire so high it starts bending the light around it. The smoke alone turns the entire sky a different color. But the most terrifying part isn't the size of the fire, it's how fast it takes over, and whether or not it was ever going to stop. The second those branches hit the fire, everything changed. It starts as a normal burn until someone makes one decision that nobody around them is ready for. Fresh pine branches, still full of sap and moisture, thrown directly into the middle of an open fire. And what happens next is pure science that looks nothing like science. Pine sap is one of the most flammable natural substances on Earth, and the moment it hits that heat, it doesn't just burn, it detonates. The flames double, then triple in seconds, launching a wall of fire so high it starts bending the light around it. The smoke alone turns the entire sky a different color. But the most terrifying part isn't the size of the fire, it's how fast it takes over, and whether or not it was ever going to stop. The second those...
All right, there that is. All right, so I don't know, man. Let me know what y'all think about that. I have an interpretation of that. You know, I sat down with it a few days ago, man. I looked at it and I said, oh, yeah, that makes a lot of sense to me. All right. You know, so tell me what y'all think, man, about that. And I let me kind of like a spoiler. It goes beyond putting a tree on the fire. All right. It's more than that. I think it's more than that. But anyway, that's one. And I might as well wait for y'all, give y'all a couple of minutes, man. See if we can catch up, man, to that. Let's see if we can catch up to that. All right. What we got here? All right. I got about 4 of them today, y'all. I ain't gonna have no whole lot. I'd rather just sit, you know, and chop it up. I'm hungry as hell, though. Let me tell you the truth about that. Okay, hold on. There we go. All right, ain't nobody tap it in on that get down, right? All right, so here it is. This is my interpretation. This is how I saw it. Metaphorically speaking, there was the fire there. It was just sitting there. Embers and shit. And I looked at the fire as issues in the community. Everything we go through, man. The shit just it's hot. You know what I mean? The issues we go through is hot. Now you put us in that mix. That tree is representation. Let's say the tree is the people. The fire before the tree touches the fire are the issues we go through every day. That tree becomes ignited as a result of these issues. There's a detonation. People tripping, boom. The shit catch that quick. You know what I mean? Quicker than some Rodney King shit. Quicker than, any other issue that's taking place in our community regarding those issues that spark the flame. You know what I mean? We being the product, we the ones that catch fire, man, and light this shit up, man. To such a degree that it's you can't contain it. And I have to admit, I'm waiting to see some shit like that happen. You know what I mean? I'm being straight up, man. We have enough issues now in society, those issues, especially that affect us, to where, man, it's just a matter of time. Something's gonna ignite the fire, man. And the shit is gonna be a cold blaze. The detonation is the people's reaction to the get down, and it will be an explosion. You know what I mean? That's how I'm looking at it. I mean, it sounds crazy, but I'm looking at it like that. The fire is there. The issues are the fire, man. The tree of the people, and them two coming together, man. All hell's gonna break loose. All hell's gonna break loose. You know what I mean? But that's how I saw that, man. I saw it bigger than or more than just putting a tree on a fire and watching how quick, this pine tree catches fire. I saw that as the people. I saw the fire initially before the tree was on it as the issues, and once we've had enough of this bullshit, we're going to ignite some shit. And once that ignition or we ignite, once that takes place, it's going to be a detonation. It's going to be explosive. That's what I think, But that being said, that is, man. Let me drop another one. All right, hold on. This one's not different, only in that her English is kind of choppy, but the sister know what she's saying.
See this video, check it out, let me know what you think about it.
If you are black, this video is for you. If you are not black, keep scrolling. This video is not for you. In the black community, if I ask you who's somebody who's powerful, somebody who has million, trillion, somebody who can change the world for the better, somebody who's known in the black community, who you gonna name me? You're gonna name me athletes, you're gonna name me celebrities, rappers, actors, but you forget that those are entertainers. We do not need more entertainers in the black community. We need educators. We need thinkers, because you know everything about Jay-Z, 50 Cent, Puff Daddy, Chris Brown, Cardi B, City Girls. You know everything about those people. But do you know about Thomas Shower? Do you know about Dr. Joseph? Do you know about Sankara? Do you know about Kenyatta? Do you know about Du Bois? Do you know about Marcus Garvey? I bet you do not. Why? Because in the black community, we have this conception of praising things that are meaningless, praising stupidity, praising being weak, praising being obese. Why is that? And the people that social media promote and put out there for black people are only people who gonna make you what? Make you dance, make you shake your ass, make you wish to have billions, trillions, make you wish to have bling bling, have the best car, the best house. But why don't they promote people who can make you think, people who can educate you? And also because those entertainers are making money off you, of your attention. However, the thinkers, the educators are the ones that are going to empower you, going to educate you, going to remind you of your worth or your potential, and going to show you how you can make your own money, how you can create your own wealth. If you are out here in that community, and also we're talking about history, right? Which history are we talking about? The history that other races as teachers, or the history that is ours? Because if you know the history that is in those famous book, the history that other people have teach you, then I don't know which black story do you know. And we have this idea of black culture. Oh my God, everything for the culture. In my last YouTube video, I said, I'm gonna say it again, I cancel culture. Do you know why I cancel culture? Because I'm not going to be part of a culture who promote obesity, who promote stupidity, who promote being weak, who promote and show our young kings and queens, black kings and queens, that if they want to succeed, they have to show their body, they have to be stupid, they have to be dumb, they have to twerk. No, I'm not part of that culture. The same culture that want to put black people down. The same culture that if somebody is smart, if somebody is intelligent, people are gonna make fun of them.
Yeah. Now, and I appreciated that one, because that's what, those are the discussions, we attempt to have here. We talk about what's going to help the people, why we talk about who we're following and why we're following them. Most of those who ask to be followed, where they leading you? What are they leading you to? You know what I mean? 99.9% of this shit is crap. They're leading you nowhere, to nothing, but we follow stupid shit. You know what I mean? Most of us, we worship athletes, entertainers. True that. Most of us do not worship educators, those who will educate us. And through education, a lot is acquired. You know what I mean? A lot is, gained from it, depending on how we use it, of course. But we get nothing from these individuals, man, that put out on social media bullshit day after day after day after day. There's nothing, absolutely nothing beneficial in what they put out to the masses. In fact, they're part of the problem. They work for the people, They'll paint it a different way, They'll tell you some more shit, like, nah, man, I ain't got nothing to do with that, man. This is the bag, da da da. But in reality, what they're pushing to the people is just more poison. It's more BS. They're not pushing the people towards excellence, purpose, or leading them or having them go in a direction that's going to be beneficial to them. You don't see that. So I like that piece because of that. She spoke truth to power, and again, a lot of us, we go to social media and we expect these same individuals. No, I don't think we expect that. We go to social media and watch these same individuals day in and day out continue to feed us the same bullshit, the same shit, And I think that's fucked up. That's messed up, man, for us to have to go through that or to see that, but it is what it is, and a lot of us are responsible. It's our fault. It's our fault, our bad that we caught up in the shit we caught up in because we're unwilling to change our focus, to indulge in those things or that thing that's going to bring us more substance mentally, spiritually, even physically, what I mean? We get caught up for the wrong reasons, I'm tripping off. I was checking some shit out the other day on social media, man. I look at the thumbnails, I keep going. I'm in the habit of I don't, partake in the shit, but everybody's talking about this guy, Anne-Hathaway. It's as though a lot of cats have forgotten his demeanor, his behavior on social media. What was he putting out there? What was he putting out there? All the cats before him that were, podcasters or content creators on these different channels and platforms who went to jail or died. What were they pushing? Same shit. Same exact shit, man. And we wonder, or we cheer. We're in the cheering section of individuals who are doing us just as much harm as, our oppressors. They've done nothing for the community, though we support them anyway. It don't make no sense, man. It don't make much sense, but it is what it is, as the saying goes. All right, Henry Cedello, I see you, bro. You say peace and blessings, everyone. Salute at Brother Bud. Right back to you, man. Peace and prosperity, bro. Good to see you up in this get down. You know, so I got another one. And another one. We're going to push this one next. And I like that piece, though. Yeah, wait a minute. Let's see. Oh, yeah, that's the young brother right there. All right, let's push this one. Another good one. Yeah, listen to it, though. Almost messed up. All right, there we go.
What this lady have to say about black people in power.
Dr.
This is mind blowing. Check this out.
Sociologist and professor.
Black faces in high places are not going to save us. Just look at the black proponents of Cop City in Atlanta's leadership class. Black faces in high places are not going to save us. Just look at the black woman's hand, ambassador at the UN, voting against a ceasefire in Gaza. That is, our blackness and our womanness are not in themselves trustworthy. If we allow ourselves to be conscripted into positions of power that maintain the oppressive status quo, our blackness and womanness are not themselves trustworthy if we support the occupation of black neighborhoods with so-called better trained police, or remain silent about the genocide of oppressed peoples around the world funded by our tax dollars. And here, let me please shout out the incredible Spelman students and AUC siblings who have been organizing with Stop Cop City and Justice in Palestine, among many other troublemakers in this room. You all remind us that college is not a waiting room to enter the real world, but that you can start transforming that world right here, right now. It goes without saying, but let me just say it anyway. For student activists speaking out courageously for Palestine and Congo and Haiti and to stop Cop City, they should not be threatened with expulsion, loss of scholarships, or have public safety called on them for protesting. Too often, our institutions celebrate student activists after they've graduated.
Yeah. Got a whole lot of that, man. Black faces in high places are not going to save us. I don't care if from the mayor on up, you know, Obama, any of them, you know. They ain't gonna save us, man. This is a task that we gonna have to fulfill or, you know, take up ourselves, you know. And until we do, we're gonna continue to see what we're seeing. We're gonna continue to go through everything we're going through. Because see, we're waiting on somebody, we're waiting on someone else to do our work. We even wait on our own people who are in high places thinking they're gonna do our work, they're gonna save us. You know, and that ain't the case, man. And again, we all know this. We all know this. In spite of the vote, you know, in spite of the supporting these politicians or whoever else, ain't none of them finna do jack for us, man. We're on our own. That's the reality a lot of us haven't faced or we're not willing to face. You know, a lot of us, we turn a blind eye to this stuff and we just keep on chugging along. You know, we just, you know, day in, day out, same old shit. You know, back of our minds, we're hoping somebody saves us, you know. Not too many of us are willing to sacrifice that or are willing to make that sacrifice that would bring about change. This we know. You know, there's always an excuse as to why, you know, we can't get this shit done, man. And that's the sad part. That's the sad part. Folks say, man, it is why I have difficult times sometimes when putting out content from my podcast, but I'm fighting through it. Not only learn from others, but to try to make sure I'm putting things out where a serious message can be heard and learned. One thing that got me from my recent interview with my homie, my friend Big Trey, was that he said that the game chose him and that he didn't choose a game of life full of disappointment and destruction for himself at the age of 8, 9, 10. Who or what black kid want that from him, for him or herself? We just talked about that last night. I was talking about how our youth, our young brothers and sisters, these young kings and queens who are out in the streets doing what they do. You got to know, man, I don't think that any of them actually want to be in that position, want to be doing this shit, man. But for the fact that they're in their minds, there's nothing else for them to do. So they just, boom, they latch on to this shit, man. And before long, it becomes a part of them, you know, and it's harder, you know, the longer they're in it, the harder it is for them to extract themselves from it. But yeah, man. So, you know, when statements like that are made, the game chose me, I didn't choose the game. I don't know if that would be something I would say, knowing what I know now and being quite honest with myself, I'm pretty sure that I chose a whole lot of what I was involved in. And that choice could have been, you know, facilitated by peer pressure or, you know, whatever the circumstance was. Fact of the matter is, I made the decisions to participate in a game that has no winners. That's the truth. You know, that's for me. I can't speak for nobody else. You know what I mean? And it was only after being in the game so long that I realized, damn, man, I chose the wrong game. You know, I chose the wrong damn game. I acknowledge that I chose the wrong game, not that I was forced in. No one put a gun to my head. The first purse I snatched, no one made me do that. The first house I burglarized, first car I stole, you know, the first assault and battery I committed, robbery I committed. Those were my choices. I chose to be a part of that game. Were circumstances, you know, somewhere in that mix had something to do with it? Probably. Yet and still, the choice was mine. So I still could, in spite of my circumstances or in spite of the circumstances I grew up in, I chose to do everything that I did. No one held a gun in my head or a knife in my back. You know, I was never threatened to do any of that shit. I chose to do it. I chose the game, you know, and it took me a very, very long time, man, to realize that I had chose wrong, you know. So that was just me, or that's me taking responsibility for my actions. For my actions. And even to this day, as a grown-ass man, you know, fully aware, cognizant of what the hell is going on in my life and the lives around, in the lives of those around me, in the lives of people all over the world, us. You know, man, listen, the choices I make now are determined, you know what I mean, not by what game is available to me, but the choices I make now are determined by, okay, how does that help me and my family? What will I receive as a consequence from it? Or as a consequence because of it? And consequences aren't necessarily or always bad. You know what I mean? Go both ways. You know, being a grown-ass man now, you know, everything I learned or I chose to do back then that got me further into the game that I chose, you know, I've been having to unlearn. It's a choice I'm making. It's a choice I'm making. And we all have that choice. We all have choices. You know, it's, you know, even when circumstances and situations, you know, issues in reality is bad, we still have choices. In spite of whatever, man, the peer pressure, whatever, man, being poor, you know, undereducated, man, having no resources, we still make choices. Facts. You know, so I'm saying I chose wrong. The game didn't choose me. I chose it. Facts. I chose it. I was enthralled and enticed by what I saw, you know, the bravado, you know, the hardness, you know, so-called solid cats, you know, pushing the line, you know, that, you know, my choices, you know, and to be quite honest again, man, most of them, the choices I made, I knew better. Yet I made them choices, you know. I chose the game, man. Game didn't choose me. Straight up, you know. And that's my experience. I can't speak for nobody else. We all have different perspectives. I respect that. But the fact that that statement is in there, it makes me think, it makes me want to, you know, expound upon choices I made in terms of the games I was involved in. Not games, but games, you know. So yeah, the game didn't choose me, man. I chose it, you know. And I take responsibility for that shit. Straight up. You know. And like I was saying, man, a minute ago, I'm older now. So any choices I make in this life right now, I'm going to choose them wisely. You know, I'm going to understand the consequences, good and or bad. You know what I mean? But I'm going to live with it. I ain't going to have no problems with it, you know, because I see now, you know, I'm mindful. I'm more, you know, I'm more aware now. Some choices do matter more than others. Some choices are principled, you know, integral, you know, moral choices, shit like that, you know. That's what I'm choosing. That's what I've chose in terms of the game, you know. So the game can't dictate nothing to me, you know. So that is, man. Where you at? Where you at, Pope? Okay, there you go. Okay. You going to say, man, if you had a parent that put you around drugs, gangs, and sometimes because of fighting through poverty, you have no choice where you live, bub. But I did. And my mom, let's be, you know, I'm be quite honest, man. My mom didn't put us around gangs, you know, and she didn't expose us to drugs. There was weed in the house, you know what I mean? You know, my uncle smoked, my auntie smoked, you know what I mean? You know, that type of thing. We lived in poverty, and that wasn't a choice of mine, you know what I mean? Right? But even when we're exposed to things that are negative, man, we still have a choice, because see, we're on the outside for the most part. When we see a lot of shit, we're on the outside looking in. We can see what it is on the outside. And in most cases, we still choose to go and be a part of that game that we know is detrimental, because we have enough examples around us to know. Look at how we was raised. We see what's detrimental about it. Even as children, man, we wasn't no dumb kids, man. You know what I mean? And I don't think a lot of children, even today, are dumb. We just make bad choices. A lot of them are raised in whatever, man. And yet, you know what? A lot of them do not follow suit. A lot of them still choose not to be a part of that. The worst of circumstances, a lot of them make them choices, man, that pan out for them. A lot of us make those choices, man, that destroys us, that stagnates us, that arrests our development. Facts, homie. You know, we could, man, you know, I get what you mean, man, but I don't think that's necessarily, you know, overall, that's not true. If you lived in a house full of drug heads, Come on, man. I think I'm pretty sure for the most part, because we see what that is doing to an individual, we'd be like, hell no. Hell no. I was raised in a house where an individual would put his hands on my mama. And I recall telling him, that ain't something I'm going to do, man. I ain't with all that. I ain't feeling none of that shit. Sometimes when we're raised in bad situations, we do develop a proclivity to do certain shit we ain't got no business doing. And in doing it, a lot of us are aware it's some wrong shit, right? This ain't righteous. Why we go with that choice, I don't know. But by the same token, it on the other side of the coin, man, there are individuals who are raised in that shit and be like, nah. I know people to this day that knew drug use, drug addiction, drug overdoses, that knew gang families, being raised in a family full of gang. They didn't bite us or scum to that shit. You know, that's not always true. You know, the point is, though, we make choices, man. We choose. We choose. You know, we choose, man. It's just what it is. You know, and again, that's not to, you know, knock no one. I'm just saying, bro, when it comes to that, most of us, we are aware of the choices we make. We understand the consequences of the majority of choices we make. And some of us brush it off like, oh man, I got this. You know, that's just it, man. That's how I see it, you know. And again, that's my opinion, you know. And it is up for debate, you know. You say, man, if you had a parent that put you around drugs, gangs, and sometimes because of fighting through poverty, you have no choice where you live, bub. Yeah, man. We're talking about, you know, growing up. Yeah, you had no choice where you live. Yeah, you ain't not even in the frame of mind where you can go rent a place, you know. Yeah. But that doesn't mean, man, because we're in an environment full of gangs and drugs that we have to choose to be in that type of environment. Again, I know too many people. I grew up with them. And they chose not to do that. Where they are today, I can't speak to that. But I know what I know in terms of me making choices in an environment that they was in also, who made, though, a different choice. It's not necessary. It's not mandatory. You know, it's really not. No, it's really not, you know. But I get what you're saying. I get it. Lisa Moore, she said, hey, man, grand rising, brother Bub. Peace and blessings to you and the family. Right back to you, Queen Lisa. Peace and prosperity to you and your family. May everything be everything. Good to see you up in here with us tonight, all right? Poke, you're going to say, man, and every story is different. That's why it's important to listen, just like I'm doing now with your story. But you have them as well. And I'm pretty sure, even though we were in the game, there were choices that we had and made that weren't, you know, that weren't the wrong ones. You know what I mean? We could have been in the thick of shit. And for whatever reason, a choice came up. We had a choice to make about something. In most cases, that was negative or wrong. And I bet you've been in that position. We said, nah, I ain't gonna do that. You come from that environment, though, right? You said, nah, I ain't gonna do that. Or I don't feel like doing that today. I don't want that problem. I ain't feeling like that today. No, that ain't cool. I'm let me go this way. You know, choices, man, we make them. They're ours to make. And if we start using, and this is what I was saying about our people and what we've been through, we know what's been done to us. You know, we know what they've done. Up to this point, 2026, we get that shit, right? And yet here we are, we still choose to fuck with these people. And we know they mean us no good. We still choose to participate in a system that we know is no good for us. Choices. We're talking about grown men and women who make these choices based upon the knowledge they have in terms of how that shit will affect them. We still make a lot of choices that don't make sense. We still, hey, we've always had that, man. We've always had that. You know, just saying. And I agree. Every story is different, bro. Everyone. Every story is different. Every perspective is different. Not all perspectives are the same. Not all stories are the same. Not all experiences are the same. Not all choices are the same. I get that. But the fact remains, we have choices to make. We make choices. Facts, bro. Lisa Moore said, much love to the kings and queens in the RGC B1 Black First, everybody, Royal Group congregation, man. I'm sending my love and respect out to each and every one of y'all, man. Coming in, touching bases with the people. This is what we do. All right, Black First. That's a choice I make consciously. I want to represent Black First. What does that mean, man? You know, what is that about? You know, what's the purpose behind that, right? A choice, man, that I choose to make, man, and I'm gonna stand by that. I stand on that shit, you know. We have kids, man, who come up in the examples or in what you express. Household full of drugs. Everybody in there from the mom and daddy on down is involved in gangs, you know what I mean? Living in poverty, you know, ain't got enough to eat, ain't got a dollar, ain't got, you know. As a result, a lot of them make choices based upon that condition, that situation they're in, and or the situation they see as a result of this shit that they have to make choices with or regarding, you know. That's it, man. I'm just saying. Henry Cedello said, man, we adopted to a negative life by choice. And giving back is very important. And every man and woman deserves a fair second chance in life to live a productive life. I agree. When we talk about our brothers and sisters, man, those who don't seem to have any damn sense, those who are committing, you know, whose acts are insane, doing the same shit over and over and over again, getting the same result over and over again, but they continue to do this shit over and over again. We say, hey, man, leave them alone. Just leave them by the wayside. You know, I recall having a conversation with one of my brothers about a family member and the fact that just kept fucking up. And the assessment was, hey, you know, just cut him loose. I said, damn, man. I said, think about me. All the stuff I done. You know, did you ever cut me loose? You know, did you ever cut me loose? And if you did, you know, I didn't really realize it. You know, my whole life been, you know, y'all know the story. But my point was, here I am now. And that's because people didn't cut me loose. They didn't give up on me. They were willing to give me a third chance, a fourth chance. You know, I had more faith in trust in me than I had in myself. Here I am. So just, you know, the matter of discarding our people, man, because for the most part, we don't see eye to eye, or they keep doing silly shit, shouldn't be enough to consider them unsavable, you know, unworthy. Sometimes those are our best people. Those who have been through a lot, you know, who've been through it, gotten through it, Those are some of our best people. Those who have went through something or gone through something to get to where they are now. Those are our best people, man. And a lot of them made some of the worst choices imaginable. But they here. We know them. You know, there you are, Pope. You know, and any other brother and sister in this get down. You know, so what you're saying, bro, I actually appreciate, Henry. You know, we deserve chances. I mean, as many chances as we give everybody else that is not melanated, that treat us the way they do, how they do, or how the hell we can't or we don't deserve as many chances as it takes from each other to get it right. That's what I'm saying. You know, so we hear the rhetoric. We here to talk about, oh man, if they don't, we got to cut them loose. Yeah, I get that, man. And I have to be quite, be straight up. Yeah, I get that. But man, still in the back of my mind, it's like, no, man, ain't nobody expendable. We all serve a purpose, man, for something or another. You know, everybody can't be just top-notch revolutionary, top-notch soldier, top-notch warrior, top-notch businessman, intellectual, wise. Something, man, somewhere that they fit into, you know what I mean? And this is why we should never discard our people. We've been discarded our existence for the last millennium or two. Real shit, man. So, most of the time when we hear this talk, and I hear it, from a lot of people, nonprofit individuals, especially, they say, man, we ain't fucking with age group from here to there. Fuck that, and I'm like, damn, man. Yeah, I get it, but I don't really agree with that, man. So, appreciate that though, Henry. James said, man, I don't respect nobody who feels sorry for themselves or try to excuse themselves of wrongdoings throughout life. You're not young forever. You kept making decisions as you grew older and so forth. Yeah. You're going to say, man, what you said, Bub, is the realest shit ever. I agree. Life is about choices, and it is. What up, Fat Rat? Peace right back to you, man. Fat Rat said, man, peace to you and the RGC, Big Bub. Right back to you, man. Good to see you up in here, Fat Rat. Jody Jeb said, wait, why and when did I subscribe to your channel? You made a choice. And here you are, I don't know if you're still here amongst us, but there you are, I like to think that you did because you heard something that resonated with you. You know what I mean? You heard something or you read something in the RGC's comments that clicked with you, Maybe that's the reason why. All right. But appreciate it nonetheless. The fact that you subscribed and you tapped in just now, that means a great deal. All it takes is one, here you are. Appreciate you though. Jody Jebs. This is Under the Groove Podcast. And then Jody said, you played a whole lot of games on women. Are you more of a gentleman at your age now? No doubt. No doubt. No doubt. Again, I don't make no excuses. I really don't. I really don't. I think because of that, that's what got me out of prison. I fessed up to myself, man, who I was. Then I had to sit down to myself and, do I love who I am? I didn't. Yeah. Who I am today is a totally different person than who I was 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, 40 years ago, 50 years ago. I'm a man that I accept, accountability and I accept responsibility. Whole lot of shit in life I don't like, all right? But I know as a result of that, I have to make a choice as to whether or not I'm going to deal with it in a fashion that I was used to way back, or in a way that's more, you know, more accountable to who I am today, in a way that's not going to jeopardize, you know, not just, you know, my life and freedom, but those around me. Now, I still have every now and then, you know, remnants, you know, there are remnants of who I was still there. I tell the RGC all the time, man, hey, I'm steady growing. I love the fact that I realize that shit. So I'm cool with that. I'm cool as hell with that. You know, I ain't the guy I used to be. That's not to say that that guy cannot, you know, it's a, what is it? Not a juggling thing, but it's one of them things you got to keep your finger on the post. You know what I mean? Because I could speak for me only. What I've been through, what I've done in my lifetime, man, a lot of that shit, man, you know, yeah, it affected me in such a way to where I'm telling you, I had to be mindful of a lot of shit. And that's why I say my choices, they got to be on point. Sometimes I lose myself, you know, but the fact that I'm able to reel myself back in lets me know I made some good choices. I've changed in a way that's beneficial, not just to me, but maybe that individual that didn't know no better or didn't know who, you know what I mean? So, hey, you know, my life is totally different now, you know, and I appreciate it. I appreciate it that much. Choices I make now, man, hey, they got to mean something, you know, they got to mean something. So I make them in that regard. There's a purpose, you know, that is, you know. There that is, you know, and I love the fact that I'm here. I ain't gonna lie, shit. Ain't no sense in me lying about that. Okay, where was I? Oh shit, I done went too far. Okay, here we go. Yeah. Who was that? Jody Jabs. I could dig it though. All right, folks say, man, in my homie case, who I'm very proud of, he made it through despite of watched the interview on Poke Mitchell podcast. See, I watched the interview though, bro. It's a very insightful interview. A lot of wisdom to the people walk them streets, you know. Fat Rat, man, you finna give us some solid. I already know. Unfortunately, most of our choices before knowledge are between the lesser of two evils. Right. Unfortunately, most of our choices before knowledge are between the lesser of two evils. Just so you played a lot of games on women. I don't know about that, but you know, shit, I don't know. They might say, I don't know, man. Shit. Again, though, Jody Jeb said, are you more of a gentleman? Are you more of a gentleman at your age now? Yeah, I think so. Chris, man, said, man, but Bub, you didn't know any better, and you can't leave out the environment and climate around you. But I did, homie. I did, man. I don't listen, man. If I was 6 years old and I stole something, I knew better. You dig? If I was 6 or 7 and I cussed somebody out, I knew better. I knew not to do that shit, but I chose to do it. If I broke in the house as a teenager, I knew better. If I assaulted somebody on the streets, I knew better. Damn the environment, man. No, but I get it. I understand that perspective. But for real, man, to know what's right and wrong, even when in terms of making choices, some choices are made that are wrong, could be made as a result of survival. I get all this shit, right? But let's be realistic, man. When we're talking about the way we come up in the environment we came up in, you know, we had choices that we knew were either right or wrong. to make. Most of us had parents, no matter how bad shit was or how poor we was, that didn't play certain shit. See, a lot of people think that us coming up as kids, we had no house training, no upbringing. We did. We did. Every bit of it, you know? Yes, we did. And yet a lot of us still chose to make choices we knew were wrong. And we made excuses for them. We made excuses. That's all I'm saying, bro. You know? That's all I'm saying. You know? I'm speaking for me, man. You know? I'm not speaking for my brothers. You know what I mean? I'm speaking for Bub, man. And I'm telling you, Bub knew better. Bub knew better. Bub weighed the consequences, man. Man, I can go to jail for this. Fuck it. I'm just saying, man. I think that's something we all have. Not just the ability to make a choice, but the wherewithal, the mindset, the mental capacity, man, to know whether or not that choice you're making is going to disrupt your life or bring something positive to it, you know. It's just it, man. That's, you know, and again, from the age of a child, I knew. And again, I'm just speaking for me. I can't speak for everybody else, you know. You know, they're like, Chris, you said last week, if a cracker gave me $1 million, would I be his butler? I told you, no, I wouldn't. He's, oh man, I don't believe that. No, man, for real, I wouldn't. But I have a choice, right? To deny the offer, be somebody's manservant, you know, or not. You know, there's another choice. Jack his ass, take the meal, take him out, you know, whatever. I have choices, homie. You know? Again, when we come up in certain environments and communities, man, that's rife with crime and poverty, you know, miseducation, shit like that. Yeah, man, a lot of us are gonna make choices that on the surface we know are wrong. We excuse them though. We excuse making the wrong choice because, you know, we justify it by, hey, I was hungry, you know, or hey, man, I was mad. I didn't like that individual. I did da. But we know, man, off the rip, we know. Damn the environment. We know. That's all I'm saying. Fat Rat Man said, Pope, man, peace of you and the fam, bro. Was there a second part to that interview? Excuse me. Pope said, man, I respect you owning up to that, bub. And guess what? That matters for a lot of youngsters coming up, what you're saying. And that goes for all of us, man. And this is why we have choices, man, to say what's right, to say what's righteous, to say what's principled, you know, to say this shit with integrity and mean that shit, you know. We're just talking about a lot of these podcasters and how they getting down. They have a choice, man. And most of them have lived lives, again, rife with crime, poverty, miseducation, all kind of shit. And yet, this is what they do. That's a choice, homie. That's a choice. An environment, man, shouldn't have no say in that. You know, that's just what you choose to do. But yeah, we have our young brothers and sisters out there, man, that, you know, they're not being laced. And at the same time, I don't think I don't think our people are dumb, man. We do ignorant shit, though. That's how I would excuse, my behavior. Just ignorant. Want to act like I didn't know no better, man, but knew better and still did shit so fucking ignorant of me, right? These young brothers and sisters, man, in a lot of ways are no different. But, you know, are we choosing to lace them, man? You know, and you just talk to them, show them, hey, man, yeah, you know, it ain't all what it's cracked up to be, man, you know? And them choices are abound, man. They exist all day, every day. All day, every day. Appreciate you though, Pope. Henry said, man, Brother Bub, do you believe in the saying, a victim of your environment? Yeah, see, again, man, I think that this is what I think, bro. I don't believe in this. Is what I think, man. A product of our environment. We participate. We allow ourselves to become products of the environment based upon the choices, man. We know the environment is bad. Like I'm saying, for real. And for the majority of us, before we make a choice that's negative or wrong, detrimental even, we're on the outside looking in. We have a perspective, man, of the choice we're about to make. We are aware, you know, which, you know, so if anyone said, man, I was a product of my environment, that's a choice they decided to make or decide to be a part of. That's on them. You know, and then, you know, they say, hey, man, you know, the streets made me. Then no, man. The streets are just there. That shit is there. It's gonna be there. It was there before we got there, man. It's gonna be there long after we're gone. You know, it's just what it is. Swinging the air with right now. Grandson in trouble. Anyway, there's that part of it too. See, so whatever he chose not to do that you should have done, landed in my ass whooping. And them come in all kind of shapes, forms, and fashions too. You know what I mean? But yeah, man, being a product of my environment, man, is again, it wasn't the environment, man, that made me how I was. It was me, my choices, bro. I didn't have to participate in none of that. I don't care how bad it was. I had a grandmother. I had family that, hey, man, if shit got back, I could go over there and, hey, you know, and they would want the best for me. I could have been up under that, all that. Got me into sports and shit, you know, drawing and painting, all that shit. I chose to make myself a product of the environment. You know, I chose that shit. You know, no, that's the only way I can explain it to you, bro. Yeah, and I'm not a victim either. I'm not a victim. And if I am, I would be a victim of myself. You know, I'm my own victim. You know what I mean? Like we are our own worst enemies sometimes. You know, I used to ask on the podcast when it first started, I asked individuals who came and sat down with us at the end of the interview, who's your worst enemy? You know? So, Henry, who is your worst enemy? Who was your worst enemy? And for the most part, most individuals, you know, some say, man, the system, you know, man, society, man, just da. And then there were those who said, it was me. I was my own worst enemy, bro. Why? How's that? How could that be? Because of the choices I made. Real simple. It's real simple, man. You know? James say, man, and it gets to the point where as far as the youngsters go, they don't know any better. Don't cut it for their evil doings and destroying neighborhoods. When are they gonna know better? Shaking my head. Yeah. Chris said, man, Bub, sometimes we do things in the heat of the moment. Still a choice. It's still a choice. So now we can't control ourselves. We had the presence of mind to make a decision, man, that, and I, again, I just don't speak for me, that I knew was wrong and or right. If I got that control, if I got that ability to, man, see, in this thing, listen, man, we on that shit too. Our people, we do this. Well, he pissed me off. She like, oh, I can't stand her out there. Hey, man, when did it ever happen where somebody can make you do something? I can't make you mad, bro, unless that's what you want to be. It's your choice. I know how to respond to some shit. Don't get me wrong. I get it. So if a cracker telling me, hey, ninja, hey, I know what my choice is. No, I'm not mad about it. I'm going to teach you a lesson. This is a teachable moment. That's how I'm going to look at that, right? But when we're talking about, man, our emotions, we have a choice, man, to be in control of them or not. We can let them fly all over the place, man, or we can contain them. That's our choice. Real spit, man. Real spit. There's no heat of the moment. If I get too angry, then I allow myself to become angry enough where I want to kill a mug, man. I allow myself, I made the choice to go on and knock him out because I didn't like what the hell he said. No matter how you look at it, man, it's a choice we make or we don't. We want to control ourselves. We have to choose to do that. I'm just saying. And that's not a double standard. I when we're talking about, like, in terms, we're out in society and we got these people want to be buffoons. They want to test the waters. It's a choice they made. See, I didn't make the choice to initially go up to nobody and do nothing. Not at this stage of my life. You know what I mean? I'm not doing that. But let someone think they want to make the choice to come at me and be able to, okay, I know how to deal with that. But I'm not choosing to bring that upon myself for that person initially. Now I can also choose there, man, in one ear and out the other, allow him to disrespect me, degrade me, whatever, that's a choice also I could make. It's going to be one I'm not. Yeah, it's going, that's one I'm be glad to make. I'm gonna be glad to act on that, real spit, But yeah, man, shit. Folks say, man, black people ain't got too many places to escape from. In my homie's case, his mama moved out of the Hoovers and moved to West LA where the same stuff was going on. Yeah. But again, I get that, bro. But see, we want to talk about the environment being the culprit. And in a lot of instances, yeah, man. But at the same time, I'm telling you, man, when we being 100 with ourselves, most of us know and realize we know this shit, man. We know it because it's our truth. It's in us. We made choices, man, that we didn't have to make. We did shit that we didn't have to do. We just chose to do it. I don't give a damn about the environment. You got rich mugs coming out of rich communities, and they make choices that don't make a lick of sense to any of us. Right? Got everything they want, and yet they make choices. Environment is pristine. They'll still make a choice that makes no sense to us who ain't got that. This is what it is, bro. Chris say, man, that's the age-old question. Does the people make the environment, or does the environment make the people? Bam. I think we're supposed to make the environment. Our environment should be a reflection of us, especially if it's right. You know what I mean? We know most of us come into an environment that's messed up. Again, impoverished, you know, dilapidated, you know, just nothing there, no education, no resources. We didn't make that environment, you know, and yet we haven't decided to make an environment that would provide for us, that would produce positivity, you know, purpose for those coming up in it. We, you know, those are the choices we didn't make. You know, that's what I'm saying, bro. That's the age-old question. Does the people make the environment, or does the environment make the people? It's your choice. Folks said, man, and we can't put too much on our young black boys and girls. Everybody ain't smart as Wimby, the alien. Nah, man, but you know, that's true, you know. But you, again, Wimby and others like him, man, they made certain choices that got them where they are, you know, and they're reaping the benefits of them choices, you know. Now, how they are as individuals, as men and women, I don't know. But looking at where they are, their station in life, they made right choices. Or in some respects, choices were made for them. You know what I mean? And some parents that wasn't having it. Do what I say and as I say it. You know, there were even households where, you know, you do as I say, not as I do. So if I'm laying up here getting drunk, hey, you bet not. You know what I mean? So, you know, a lot of choices made for us as well. So, you know. Yeah, you know. Folks say, James, I feel you, sir. And you're right about the youngsters. We learn most of the time off of what we see rather than what we are educated about. The UTG has not only UBA, but the talented RGC. Yeah, this is the unit. You know, this is the unit. And Pope, to your statement, man, your comment, I was saying a minute ago, I recall growing up and seeing certain individuals like, yeah, I choose that, you know, because I thought it was the shit. You know, shit. I can recall my mom's, you know, realizing, you know, what it was I was involved in. Like, hey, who the fuck you think you are? You're not going to be doing this. And I found a way to get around that shit. That's what I chose, you know. Yeah. Anyway, Chris said, Bub, man, we need guidance. It's hard to ask a parent, a preteen or teenager to make reality choices. You know. Yeah, man, but listen, yeah. But don't you think in the minds of these preteens and these teenagers, they know right from wrong? You know? Don't you think they have the wherewithal to understand what's correct and what's incorrect, what's right, what's wrong, what's good, what's evil, what's up, what's down? You know? That's what I'm saying. I'm saying we have that ability. We all have the ability to know that, you know? And I don't care what age they are. Children learn early on what's right and wrong. They have the mother, the father, the brother, the sister, the grandmother, the grandfather lacing them. Don't do that. No. Yes. Okay. That's fine. Don't you dare. Don't, boy, you know, learn that shit, man. From damn near from birth. You know, anywhere from 9 months up, we're learning. You know, we've learned. Children learn. Yeah. You know, their choice. You stick your hand in that fire, you're gonna get burnt. You know, it's a process, man. Learning, you know. And so I say that to say, man, that most of these cats know, these sisters, they know. It's just that, okay, are we gonna decide to do what's right? It's a decision. It's a choice. You're going to say young people need guidance, man. I don't disagree, man. I don't disagree. Wait a minute, Pope, where you was at? Okay, hold on. All right, James, I feel you, sir. And you're right about the youngsters. We learn most of the time off of what we see rather than what we are educated about. The UTG has not only UBA, but the talented RGC with the like of my big bro, Fat Rat. Yeah, Fat Rat, man. Send props out to Fat Rat, man. Shit. Who educates on a different level. But it needed, I love what we bring to the table because one head is better than one always, you know? And again, we are choosing to bring this to the table to our brothers and sisters, man. So that's a good look. Chris said, man, those who went through the fire and able to come back and talk about it. You know what I mean? What they say, man, there's a saying I'm hearing a lot. I'm hearing it a lot more now than I used to, 10 years, 20 years ago. But you got to go through something to get to something, And I think that's appropriate. That's spot on. That's spot on. You have to go through something to get to something, man. And most of us have went through some shit. Look where we are, though. We got through, man. We got through. Two heads are better than one. I hear you, Pope. Henry said, man, the experience gives you a better understanding, especially being able to relate to the subject. Fat Rat, man, he in play, man. He said, I rejected stone because the stone head in the corner or the cornerstone. Translation, the harshness we survive qualifies us to be the basis for the kingdom of Supreme Being. Let me read that again, though, y'all. The rejected stone becomes the headstone in the corner or the cornerstone, right? Translation, the harshness we survive qualifies us to be the basis for the kingdom of Supreme Being. Chris said, man, that's the thing with Black people. We have the ability to pick up the pieces and move forward. Bub, you get flashbacks? Nah, homie. Nah, homie. Not at all. and I'm working on being triggered. So yeah, I'm good. I'm good, man. Real spit, man. I'm good, man. You funny, though. Shit, you funny, Chris. All right, Rakufu, I see you, bro. Peace and respect to the RGC, man. Peace and prosperity to you, bro. You and your fam. Good to see you up in here, man. All right, Rakufu said, man, the word for today is tergiversation, excuse me. All right. Tergiversation. I said tergiversation. All right. Yeah, give us the meaning of that. Know the word, ain't use it. Folks say, man, I'm still laughing about what Crystal said. Anyway, James said, man, Pope, much love and respect always, my brother. I made more mistakes in my life than good decisions, unfortunately. I hope you're well, big bro. Love you, homie. One. Tergiversation is the act of using intentional evasion, shifting statements, or ambiguous language to deceive others and avoid telling the straight truth. All right. Tergiversation. Rakufu said, man, the administration's constant tergiversation. Yeah, I said it right. Tergiversation regarding the budget deficit shattered the faculty's trust. Chris say, Bub, you can't leave out male testosterone that causes to make aggressive decisions. Yeah, you know, yeah, there's a biology, man, but I don't know, man. I tend to think that, you know, you're talking about hormones, man, but I tend to think that the mind, man, still has sway over that, you know. That's just me, you know, that's what I think. All right, Fat Rat filed to hit you. He said, okay, bub. Where do we acquire the choice to silence the self-accusing spirit in the first place? We're righteous by nature, wicked by circumstances, and there's a shaping and influencing that precedes the choices we can be held to account for. All right. Where do we acquire the choice to silence the self-accusing spirit in the first place? We are righteous by nature, wicked by circumstances, and there's a shaping and influencing that precedes the choices we can be held to account for. I don't know, man. Where do we get that from? I don't know. I tend to look. This is what I can say. I think, man, we've been laced, man, with shit, with understanding, knowledge, man, and wisdom to a certain degree, to where, man, I'm just saying, I think we're mindful of what we do. You know, when we get, like you say, where do we get the choice to silence, the self-accusing spirit in the first place? I don't know, would that be where do we acquire the choice to silence the self-accusing spirit in the first place? Self-accusing spirit. And what is the spirit accusing us, right or wrong? I don't know. I'm a toy with this one. I don't see it as a trick question. I just see it as a deep one. Where do we acquire the choice to silence the self-accusing spirit in the first place? Oh no, I just tend to think that that's all a part of our makeup, man. Having a choice, I think, is a part of our makeup. You know, why it's there, I think, is there for a good reason. Is it controlled by, the mind, the spirit? I don't know, but I know it's something that we all have, the ability to exercise choice. Where it comes from, what it's, it now, whether or not it has power, I can speak to that. For the most part, no, because a lot of us, we go against it anyway. But where does it get that, where there's a choice to silence, the accused? I don't know, man. That's something I would love for you to share with me. Break that down for me, if you will. I don't know. I just know enough to know that making choices, man, is something we are all capable of doing. Even I think the Bible, tells you, hey, you can choose this way or that way. The choice is yours. I had a discussion with an individual about that. And they conceded the fact that it's in there. God gives you this choice, to follow him or the God or the devil. I hate to use the word him. I don't really know, but you get the choice. And yet, if you choose not to follow God, there's a penalty for that. But wait a minute, why'd you give me choice? Why did you give me free will, or the will to choose, and then condemn me if I don't choose correctly or according to how you think I should choose? You know what I mean? You're going to give me the freedom of choice, the freedom to choose something, and yet condemn me if I don't choose according to, what you think I should have chose. I don't know. I don't know how that works, man. But hey, we have that. We have that, you know. It's power. I don't know. I don't know how great it is. I know shit. A lot of times, you know, I made choices, man, and as a result, man, you know, I wasn't strong enough to change my mind. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I'm gonna let you break that one down for us, man. Folks say, Bub, no disrespect. I love you as a brother, but this is why most blacks don't get the support, because we love each other, because we leave each other out when having to pull each other up because of black culture shock. I don't know how that's disrespectful, but okay. Bub, no disrespect. I love you as a brother, but this is why most blacks don't get the support, because we leave each other out when having to pull each other up because of black culture shock. You're going to say, man, it is not easy getting out of the hood the right way. That's why they do what they not supposed to be doing until it's time to tell. The telling is destroying us. I ain't even doing nothing myself. I ain't doing nothing myself. Not that I'm not doing anything myself that I'm not supposed to be doing, but I'm still leery about who I'm around. That is why I have decided to work. It's a good choice. That's all I can say about that. You know, no matter how you look at it, it's a good choice. When we decide to leave, you know, shit behind, you know what they say, man. You come, man. You do man things. You become a man. You leave childish things behind. You know what I mean? That type of. I don't know. I can't give it to you verbatim right now, but that makes sense. So everything you do is geared toward the choices you make, man, are geared towards not just a certain lifestyle, man, you know, but your choices are geared towards you doing what's right. You know what I mean? And in that, man, you're doing everything you're supposed to be doing as a man, but not just yourself, but your family. I can't knock you for that. I wouldn't attempt to, you know. We make decisions based upon, you know, how we see those decisions will, you know, improve our lives, or in a lot of cases, man, you know, take from them, you know, destroy our lives. So, you know, you doing what you doing, you know, that don't deserve nothing but, you know, you don't deserve anything but being commended for that. You know, you stay away from bullshit. Everything you do is geared towards doing what's right. You work to stay out of shit. You know, but I would also think you work, man, to provide not just for yourself, but those you love, whatever you can afford to give them. You know what I mean? So, hey, you pay the bills, all that shit. So, you know, again, I don't have no issue with none of that, bro. You know, I mean, to this day, I don't fuck with people like I used to. You know what I mean, man? A lot of shit people do, I'm not with that. You know, and so it's probably my choice is it's best to be not around that. It's a choice I made. You know, I don't know. You're doing a damn good job staying out the way, Pope. That's all that should matter. Good choices. Henry said, Brother Bub, I agree with you. We know what we are doing. We know what we are doing wrong, even as a kid. Every time you get that negative feeling when you are up to no good is a warning, yeah, to ourselves. You know, yeah. Come on, man. I think that's just you can't deny that. I don't think that's something you can deny, you know. You know, we know. We know. Farad say, man, you can learn the nuisance. You can learn nuances of shadow boxing in a dark room. Be trained to assault mannequins in the dark. Be celebrated for our skills. And when the lights come on and you resort to hands-on solutions, is that choice without influence or predisposition? Mm. No. Use the hands-on solution is that choice without influence or predisposition. I don't know, man. That could be, in I don't know, man. I don't know. You can learn the nuances of shadow boxing in the dark room, be trained to assault mannequins in the dark, be celebrated for our skills. And when the lights come on and you resort to hands-on solutions, is that choice without influence or predisposition? No, that choice can't be without influence, because even in the dark, you're training, so there's an influence there. The predisposition, I think that could go either way, man. You're predisposed to know how to defend yourself in the dark as well as the light. Now, whether or not I choose to do that in the dark or the light, that's on me. I don't know. Henry say, man, I know I have been my worst enemy to myself plenty of times. I understand exactly what you mean, Brother Bub, 100%. Chris going to say, man, a lot of us have hormone unbalanced or imbalances to a lot of us have hormone unbalance, too much testosterone, whatnot, the same as these crackers. I don't know. But okay, man. I'm talking about, man, for real. When we're talking about individuals, man, for real, man. They not on medications, man. Motherfuckers ain't on no medications, no meds, or we our hormones are so tweaked and messed up, man, that where it's running everything. You know what I mean? I don't know. Me thinking about the question, thinking about it now, especially, yeah, man, there's certain things that can trigger or create imbalances in terms of our testosterone and estrogen. You know what I mean? The foods we eat can create imbalances in that shit, but because you have high levels of testosterone, that doesn't necessarily make you angry or makes you incapable of making decisions, and being mindful of those decisions. I mean, if you sitting up shooting steroids in your shit every day, that's different. I think that's very different. But still, in terms of, shooting yourself up with steroids, having roid rage, you made a choice initially to start doing that shit. Where you liked that before that, you know what I mean? And when we're talking about imbalances that could be brought about because of the foods we eat, that's again, that's something different, And I don't see where that could create such an imbalance where we are incapable, man, of understanding choices that are good and are bad. I don't know. I don't know. And in terms of, you say the imbalance, too much testosterone, whatnot, the same as these crackers. That's something, I don't know if that's even testosterone with these crackers, man. That's just, man, that's just white supremacy, man. That's just hatred, man. That's bigotry, racism. You know what I mean? Just, I don't know. Folks say, Fat Rat, I could be wrong, but I think predisposition because of our environment and what we grew up around. But again, we keep blaming our environment, man, and I'm telling you, I don't know, man. I'm just of the mind that shouldn't be the reason, man. We are all capable of making decisions, and I don't care what the environment is. it could be a life or death situation. You still got a decision to make, you know? And based upon how you make that the decision, whichever way you decide to go will probably determine whether you live or die. We have choices, man. You know, it's like, say, okay, we're predisposed, man, to be fuck ups because the environment is fucked up. It's not true, man. I don't agree with that. You know, what's going on in my community influences me, you know what I mean, to do most of what I do. To some extent, that's true. I just said it and said, I said, man, I can recall, you know, this before I was off the porch, seeing individuals, man, waist length, leather jackets, the shit, you know, I'm like, oh shit. We wasn't saying that's some fly shit back then, you know what I mean? But, you know, damn. But I never got around to wearing waist length leather jackets. You know, I just thought it was cool on them. I think it was cool on me. I wasn't influenced in that respect, you know? You know? And again, man, you know, no matter how we look at it, be whether we're influenced or we're predisposed, supposedly, you know, to certain things, man, it's still the fact remains, man, there is a choice, man. There's a choice that each and every one of us gets to make. I can only be predisposed to that shit if I choose that. I mean, that's there now. I want to choose, okay, yeah, man, it says there I'm in. I can only be influenced if I choose to allow myself to be influenced. And we can use the circumstances of upbringing, the community environment, all we want. The fact still remains, man, we have a choice. And I'm telling you, for the most part, man, most of us understand what's right and wrong in terms of the choices we make from when we were children. We knew you couldn't go play hide and get it and get caught. You know you'd be in trouble. But you made the choice, you know, we're going to play hide and seek, hide and go get it. And don't let no adults catch us because we're going to get, hey, man, we're not supposed to be doing that shit. I'm just saying, man. I'm just saying. Folks say, James, man, James Cass, what I appreciate about you is that we all need to hear from different points of view. I ain't from the CPT, but when I was in prison, wisdom was laid upon me from a CPT point of view. Hey. Truth to power, man. We all, but you know, that's a good look, man, because that's something we can all, I think most of us should be able to relate to. I tell kids all the time, man, my teachers weren't just hoovers. You know, I had teachers from Playboy. I had teachers, man, shit, from Compton, Watts, Inglewood, neighborhood, you name it, you know. And because of that, I got to the point where I learned how to make choices that were beneficial rather than detrimental as a result of that, you know. So yeah, that's a good look, man. And this is what I think we're supposed see. We're not making those choices, man, at least lace one another. You know, the saying we always use, each one teach one, but that has to be a choice that we make individually. Each one has to choose whether or not they want to reach one to teach one. You know, it's all I, you know. Yeah. But let me go on. You say, James, man, what I appreciate about you is that we all need to hear from different points of view. I ain't from the CPT, but when I was in prison, wisdom was laid upon me from a CPT point of view that I'm grateful for today. And that's what prison do for you, as I was around a lot of good homies, which made me an even better leader. Your voice is needed if we're trying to get it right. Yeah. Did I miss something James said? You know, James ain't having that shit. He don't like that. Hey, on Bug, you didn't read my shit. Oh, yeah, I did. No, I read that. I read that. I read it again, though. You say, Poke, man, much love and respect always, my brother. I made more mistakes in my life. I did read that. More mistakes in my life than good decisions, unfortunately. I hope you're well, big bro. Love you, homie. One. Yeah, I did read that, though. All right. A real sister's in the house. How's a queen? As she says, shalom. All right. She says, shalom, shalom, family. We are a righteous people. It's in our DNA. There's only one of two ways to do anything, right or wrong, up or down, in or out, truth or lie, etc. 100 on stealing as a child. Yeah. We've all been there, right? I did it too and knew it was wrong. Because we sneaking, we know, but we made that choice. We decided we want to steal that candy. You know, I don't ever recall stealing fruit when I was a kid. I was stealing candy. You know, fruit didn't come later. You know, hopping over people's gates, raiding their fruit trees. And even then, I knew it was wrong. Rather than go to the front door and, hey, I'm hungry. Can I pick some apples off your tree? Can I get some of them peaches? You know, no, we're gonna be real sneaky because we know it's wrong. We're gonna hit the gate. You know, we chose not to go knock on the door and ask for the fruit, which I'm probably sure we would have got. And we just asked for it, you know. But yeah, you know, most of us or some of us, again, I can't speak for everybody, but I know growing up, I knew stealing was wrong, man. I knew it. It's 6 years old. It's 5. Shit, you know. And yet I chose to do it. I did it, you know. So yeah, something about that, man. James said, thank you, Brother Pope, man. I soaked up a lot from my elders and OGs in my community. I didn't just take what was said for face value. I processed it and learned what I needed to. One, there you go. Flashback bug, yeah, man. Yeah, that's some crazy shit, man. I don't know, man. Yeah. Real sister say we must control our spirit and not let our spirit control us. We must think before we act, not act and then think, right? That's putting it, you know, man, the horse behind the cart. Yeah. James say, although I just like anybody else am responsible for the good and also the bad that has occurred throughout the time I have been privileged to spend on this earth, we all have a part to play in this. Mental health is important. It's always something I try to keep in mind. We never fully know what state of mind people are in or what frame of mentality they are under and for how long. Some things are temporary, others are permanent. Yeah. And yeah, so when we're talking about mental health, yeah. I don't know if high levels of testosterone causes mental health issues, but you know, that is something not to be played with. You know, mental health is some serious shit. You know what I mean? Some serious shit, you know. So I don't know, man. I don't know. Chris say, man, at the same time, we're living in a colonial system. So anything decisions or we make is going to be wrong to you. It's going to be wrong to you. Know what I mean? This is not a black man system we're living in. Facts. In fact, we could be right, man, is right as rain, and they'll find something wrong with that. They'll decide that there's something wrong with you being right as rain. You know, I hear you. Fat Rat say, when you said you knew better, but you chose to do worse, that knew better part was the self-accusing spirit, the proverbial angel on your shoulder. Yeah, that voice, yeah. And how we see that take place in the cartoons, right? They're sitting on one shoulder, and the other one's on the other, and whatever one you decide to go with, the one you didn't would be like poof, just disappear. And like how you put that down there, bro. James say, man, the G's always looked good coming up, but I was attracted to low riding ever since I was knee high. Ever since I was knee high, classic riders have always fascinated me, and that aspect of the culture is a factor to be proud of. The brothers, young, old, and in between, claiming the game made it the shit to be. I understand how one is compelled to be like that, especially from the sandbox days. Mentorship is crucial for youth. One, man, there was a brother we grew up with, went to school with, elementary, junior high, high school, lived on the set, knew everybody, hung with us on our dirt bikes, everything. You know, he was the only one that didn't become a Hoover, but knew everybody. You know, he knew everybody. You know, his mom's was cool. His big brother was cool. You know, his mom's allowed us to raise pigeons in their backyard. You know, all kind of shit. You know, he never decided to do that. He did not decide to do it. You know, didn't decide it. To the day I know him. You know, and shouts out to you, bro. Hope you're well. You and the family, Tony. Real spit. Good brother, man. Good brother. Everybody know the homie. And that's what we call him, the homie. He wasn't no game banger. Didn't play that shit. Yeah. Excuse me, everybody. The brothers, young, old, and in between, claiming the game made it the shit to be. Understand how one is compelled to be like that, especially from the sandbox days. Mentorship is crucial for youth. I agree. So I get caught up, right? As a youth, I think I'm about 12. I did some robbery shit. I did some shit. Anyway, I got caught. My dumb ass got caught. My mom used to tell me though, a long time ago, boy, you're not good at stealing. And I swear it actually fucked me up. So I was never a good thief. I was never. I don't condone stealing. I hate stealing. Hey man, do not. Hey, right. So anyway, she did the number on me. But anyway, I was 12. I got caught, right? And rather than send me back to juvenile, send me juvenile hall and all this old shit, they made me go to this mentoring program. It just so happened the brother who was my mentor lived on the same street as me. I didn't know it. I wouldn't have known shit. You know what I mean? Cool brother. Back in the day, afro, everything, man. He had a 69 Cadillac, clean as hell, you know. But this brother, I wasn't the only one. It was about like 5 of us. You know, he'd take us places everywhere, you know, and he'd chop it up with us, man. And I have to admit that I was starting to see the light. I like that shit, man. Going fishing and shit like that, right? Boom. Something happened to the brother, man. And that was the last I seen, man. That I just the sister that used to, mess with him, she was fine as hell. I'm trying to remember that sister's name, man. She'd be coming home for it. I said, let me get a kiss. She give me a kiss, man. Let me kiss her shit. You ever playing with a kid, though. I get it, man. But her and the brother was cool. And I recall her telling us that something had happened to him that wasn't good. You know what I mean? Not he went to jail or nothing like that, but he got hurt or something. And man, I found I was missing that mentoring, that being, talked to and shown things, you know what I mean? Shit, man, I was back in the streets, man. The program didn't give me another mentor, and I went all the way. The program, this is no bullshit. The program was based in Locke High School, right? There's, I don't know, like right across the street, there's these educational buildings. I would ride my dirt bike all the way over there from 76 in Vermont all the way to Locke. This is what I did when the dude was no longer coming around. And I went and asked the people, hey, man, give me another mentor. Didn't happen. Anyway, and I think, if I'd have got another mentor, that probably, ain't no telling, man. I can't call it, but I knew that I was okay with that shit, and it was okay with me. You know what I mean? So, yeah, man. So, yeah, and on that note, our brothers need that, man. We need that, man. Our younger brothers too. I don't care how old they are, man. I don't think mentoring should have an age attached to it, because we all continue to learn and develop. We still going to the day we die. Older brothers lace older brothers who are a little younger than them. You know what I mean? They always got something not necessarily crafty to say, but wise to say or to impart to them. I enjoy kicking around older heads to this day. You know what I mean? Because there's always some gems that I haven't gotten, some jewels that I haven't picked up throughout my years that they drop, man. And that's almost like being, just laced, mentored, So ain't nothing wrong with that, man. And yeah, our brothers need it, man. Period. Appreciate that, James. Real spit, man. A real sister said, Yah has set before us life or death. Yah has set before us life or death, blessings or curses. He said, cold life. Deuteronomy 30, verses 19 and 20. Hallelujah. Okay. He said, choose life. Okay. He said, choose life. Got you, sis. Fat Rat said, Bible, when I was a child, spoke as a child, I did as a child. When I became a man, I put away childish ways and things. There that saying go. Appreciate you, Fat Rat. Appreciate you. It got lost in my head. I couldn't bring it up, man, but I appreciate you. All the time, man. You going to say, Fat Rat, there's a lesson. Environment shapes heredity. Environment shapes heredity. You're going to say also most of what we are challenging in this beautiful form for deeper consideration is what we are aware shaped into through heredity in an environment conducive to a slave master's agenda. Most of what we are challenging in this beautiful form for deeper consideration is what we aware shaped into what we're aware of. I don't know, into through heredity in an environment conducive to a slave master's agenda. Okay, there you go. You wrote it a second time, which is great. Most of what we are discussing in this beautiful form is the challenge to what we were shaped into in a slave-making environment that shaped our heredity. To say environment doesn't influence heredity is to deny our royal state of existence ever existed. To say environment doesn't influence heredity is to deny our royal state of existence ever existed. And I'm not gonna wait a minute. You say we were murdered. We were murdered trying to choose to self-determine, bub. So what became the compromise? Because we are here. So, and the first statement you made, the comment though, where you said to say environment doesn't influence heredity, all right, is to deny a royal state of existence ever existed, we all know, man, that so many transitions have taken place. You know what I mean? What was is not today. You know what I mean? The environments we live in today weren't the same environment 60 years ago. You know, not in a lot of respects. All right. You know, before slavery, that environment was different from the one, you know, we came from. I had, you know, shit change, you know, environments change, you know, and all I'm alluding to is the fact that the environment I grew up in, you know, the environment I grew up in, man, what was going on in that environment, man, I chose to take part in that. You know, I have older brothers, you know, who grew up in the same damn environment, didn't get involved in none of that. You know, haven't been to jail, prison, you know, same house, same roof over our heads, you know. I have 3 under me, you know, and 2 of them did, you know. I just think that, man, you know, again, it's about the choices we make, man. You know, that's the only way I can explain that, you know. That's the only way. I can only express it that way, you know, and I take full responsibility for everything I decide to do in my life, you know what I mean? And I hold nobody responsible. I don't hold an environment or a system, you know, in terms of me knowing what's good, what's bad, in terms of me making choices that would determine whether or not I fall victim to the system or not. You know, those were choices I made, you know. Yeah, the system was there and it's designed to capture us, to trap us, all kind of shit. And yet I still made the decision to allow myself to be trapped. Not because, you know, the system, you know, it wasn't a magnet. I'm a piece of it. I boom, went to it. No, man, whatever choices I had in my mind, if I was rebelling against my mom's and her decisions, the choices she was trying to make for me, you know, that may be some of the reason as to why I did a lot of what I did, you know what I mean? But to say, for me to say or accuse, you know what I mean, just the environment in and of itself being the reason for me being caught up, I'm not, yeah, I don't agree with that. I don't, you know, I don't agree with that. But you're going to say, man, we were murdered trying to choose to self-determine, bub. So what became the compromise? Because we are here. What became the compromise? Yeah, shit. Hey, the choice to be a slave. A lot of us chose that. A lot of our people anyway, you know, and they survived it. I don't know. It's more in store than that, probably, but that for sure. A lot of us are here and come from that stock, man. A lot of people chose that shit, you know? Yeah. Mm. Shout out to all the Black King folks. Say, man, shout out to all the Black queens. Domestic violence is a choice as a man that we should never be a part of. A real sister says, man, as far as being a product of your environment, you have a choice. I grew up having to wear 1 pair of shoes to holes in the bottom and told myself when I grow up, I'm going to have 100 pairs and got them. Go on then, girl. Baby, what's that say? Baby E401. He said, Big Bub, what's good? What's up with you, bro? Baby said, man, my uncle Lionel was like that. I believe grew up with y'all, but didn't bang. Yeah, man, I know Lionel. For that came out Bonzella, Estrella. Him and Lenny now. Yeah. Yeah, that was you know, he wasn't no banger, but that like the big homie back in the day. Yeah, I used to hang around him and Lenny, man, actually. You know? Yeah. Know exactly what you're talking about, man. Yeah, I know him. Now, how's he doing? What? Damn. Yeah, Yeah, I get it, bro. I think I recall now what was going on. All love to the fam, though. Quinn Nzinga said, man, the environment doesn't just influence behavior, it shapes the brain itself. And it does beyond childhood, too. The people you spend time with as an adult, the job you work, the culture around you. Damn, that it, Queen? That was deep. James said, that's real, Big Bub, deep. Real sister said, Queen Nzinga, facts. Folks said, Queen Nzinga, I agree. And how are you? I pray all is well, sis. Farrah say word. That's a word I messed up in there, Farrah. My bad. Man, you sisters is tight. I ain't gonna argue with nobody, man. Look here. Cause that right there, boy, I'd have to, give me a shot of tequila want to answer that question. Shit. You a fat rat just on tonight, ain't you? Fat rat say, man, for instance, Bub, knowing that stealing something is wrong is one thing. Knowing that stealing leads to a character that would murder wasn't what you understood while choosing to steal, or the lying. That preceded stealing. And we needed a self-identity before we sought to identify with our environment. This we didn't have. Hey, yeah, baby, I see you, man. I know about it. I didn't want to mention it. I stopped myself short, bro, you know. So rather than say all that, I say, man, send love out to the family, bro. Yeah, yep. I do recall that, bro. And you know, my condolences to him, man, to the family. Yeah, man. Yeah. He caught that time. That shit, I caught mine. He caught his, and yeah, man. Again, my condolences, bro. It's good to see you hanging up in here with us, man. All right, y'all. It's about time. I've been on this thing. Hold on. I'm gonna read this one more time. Fat Rat said, for instance, Bub, knowing that stealing something is wrong is one thing. Knowing that stealing leads to a character that will murder wasn't what you understood while choosing to steal, or the lying. That preceded stealing. And we needed a self-identity before we sought to identify with our environment. This we didn't have. Self-identity, huh? Yeah, man. Man, I appreciate everybody in there. I didn't even get to do all the damn videos, man. Damn. I really wanted to tell you the truth. I want to, you know, it was a couple more in there I thought were pretty good. This one right here, y'all, and I'm gonna leave it alone. Yeah, this is what's going on, man. Right quick, let's run that.
Slave catcher's whip for a badge, a civilian's gun, and a defense attorney's closing argument. It traded the slave catcher's whip for a badge, a civilian's gun, and a defense attorney's closing argument. The system doesn't see a 14-year-old kid like Cyrus Belton or Tamir Rice as a child. It sees them through a lens of inherent criminality. It weaponizes fear to justify execution. If a bottle of water, a pack of Skittles, a toy gun, or a cell phone can be legally twisted into a death warrant, then the problem is not the item. The problem is the skin of the person holding it. Because even if they did steal it, which they didn't, nobody's life is worth being taken over a bottle of water, much less a 14-year-old boy. And let's talk about the sickness of the trial itself. Every single time they put the dead child on trial, they dig up their lives looking for any flaw, any mistake, any regular teenage behavior to justify why they're buried 6 feet deep. They demand the children be perfect little saints just to have a right to breathe. But the penalty for being an imperfect teenager is not execution. White kids get to mess up, shoot up schools, murder, get grace, and grow up. Black kids get autopsies and cover-ups. The system protects these killers because it sympathizes with their delusion. It rewards the vigilant mindset of ordinary people who look at a black boy and decide they are the judge, jury, and executioner. The court looks at a killer's manufactured irrational fear and says that fear is reasonable. They legalize the paranoia. Black people carry the weight of this trauma every single fucking day. It's a heavy, suffocating grief that gets passed down from parent to child. It's the talk they have to give their kids, not about stranger danger, but about systemic danger. It's the constant agonizing awareness that no amount of innocence, no amount of compliance, no amount of manners or kindness, no amount of good behavior, no amount of minding your own goddamn business, no amount of staying on your P's and Q's, no amount of staying out the way, and no amount of childhood can protect you if someone decides your breathing is an offense. Stop asking nicely for your humanity to be recognized by a structure that profits off your subjugation. The solution starts with absolute refusal. Refuse to accept their verdicts as the final word on moral truth. Dismantle the legal protections like qualified immunity, biased self-defense claims, and jury selection processes that allow killers to walk free. Build and control your own institutions, fund your own legal defenses, and create economic and political consequences so severe that the system can no longer afford to let your killers go free. Stop acting like...
Damn. And I think that's a good note to end it on. Yeah, that was that young brother, man. The Buddha head found not guilty for gunning this little young brother down 5 times in the back. You know, that's what we started out talking about today, and I'm gonna end on that. Condolences, man. Love to his family, man. For real, for real. Young brother gone over a bottle of water that he didn't steal. A bottle of fucking water, man. And man, love yourselves, all right? And so we can extend this love to our brothers and sisters, man, who very well may need it, man. Take care of yourself so we can take care of each other, man. Support one another. Love yourself, love each other, man. Take care of yourself, take care of each other, man. Power is in the people, man. Appreciate everybody, all right? RGC, man. Have a great night. May we all end up here again tomorrow, all right? Take care of yourselves. One love, everybody. Power is in the people.
Count the names, count the bodies, count the victory. Cullen Hughes, Hurst, and writing future history. From the Apollo to the borough to the sphere. Where the echo of those Harlem nights still ringing clear. So when they ask what happened in those tenement flats, between the spirituals and where consciousness is at, tell them we transform suffering to scholarship and song. Tell them we've been telling you we're brilliant all along. The Renaissance will prologue every decade since the sequel. Every black child born's continuation of the people who survived the Middle Passage, survived the Jim Crow laws, and built magnificence from nothing but their vision and their flaws. That's in the sergeant. This is once a less than had this had its and Mercedes. Please don't you, I can't stop us. Power sensitive, watch the applause for polls. Need your data, torture, counseling, they problem when the wet just wanna build the season bait. Now don't get the pause. It's just erasing up the times. Plead the markets off the main. Make it on the fans, turn the neck and love the durn. Suffer sacrifice. You were wrong to preaching up. I'm sorry, see chillin', bitch on the shit and untrue seeing vets. Someone the very it's on Gary Land. Be hell in heaven, you see what the bonafide. You wait talking for the marker, make the key to pull the club and saw the bloods to the singer. Land is carried open, slowly keep us looking on my mother, break it, generous, he for the he and let the peasant be. It's every time we keep a spawn.